What a fantastic video to start our launch event with. A warm welcome to our distinguished guests, Yang Berhormat Senator Wan Ahmad Faisal bin Wan Ahmad Kamal, Malaysia's Deputy Minister for National Unity, Ms. Hannah Birdsey, Australia's Deputy Head of Mission to Malaysia, Ms. Gonu Serbest, Chief Executive Officer for Global Victoria, Ms. Rebecca Hall, Victoria's Commissioner to Southeast Asia, Dr. Muhammad Sulaiman, Deputy Director General Development, Department of Skills Development Malaysia, Datuk, Datin, my fellow student leaders who are watching the session live just outside the common area of the Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur, distinguished guests, media, and to everyone present, both in person and virtually. Salam Sejahtera, and welcome to Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur's official launch. My name is Darren Lee, and I'm greatly honored to be standing here today as the ambassador for Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur, and I will be a master of ceremonies for this event. Before we start with the proceedings, please note that this event is being recorded. And to my dear guests joining us from Australia, please forgive me for addressing you so formally today. I've been taught from a very young age to always address my seniors as Mr. or Miss, or even Uncle and Auntie. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here on this wonderful morning or afternoon, depending on where you are, to celebrate the official launch of the Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur. Now, I remember the day I attended my pre-departure briefing 6 years ago. I felt extremely nervous, yet excited at the same time as an international student embarking on a new journey to the land down under. And today, standing here, I'm able to reminisce those times. And I'm grateful to the Victorian government for their constant efforts in supporting us international students, especially during the pandemic, notably during the establishment of the Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur. Proceeding with today's special event, and without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Gonu Serbest, the Chief Executive Officer for Global Victoria, to provide her opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in welcoming Ms. Serbest?
Thank you so much, Darren, and it's fantastic to have you MC our event today. A real treat for us, for someone who has had that great experience in Melbourne. Again, good morning to those of you joining us in KL, and good afternoon to everyone joining us from Victoria. As Darren said, my name is Gonu Serbest, and I'm proudly the CEO of Global Victoria. I might just start by acknowledging some of our very distinguished guests we have with us as well. Can I start by acknowledging Yang Berhormat Senator Wan Ahmad Faisal Wan Ahmad Kamal, Malaysia's Deputy Minister of National Unity, Hannah Birdsey, Australia's Deputy Head of Mission to Malaysia, of course my colleague Rebecca Hall, Victoria's Commissioner to Southeast Asia, attending virtually, Dr. Muhammad bin Sulaiman, Deputy Director General Development, Department of Skills Development Malaysia, Datuk, Datin, distinguished guests attending in person and virtually. As customary in Australia, I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I meet you today. I'm on the lands of the Kuala Nation here in Melbourne CBD, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. On behalf of the Victorian Government, it is my absolute pleasure to be here today to launch the new Study Melbourne Hub in KL, although I do wish I was there in person with you all. This is the second of 5 study hubs that we are establishing across our network. And I'm thrilled to see this wonderful centre up and running and see you all there at the opening. It looks like an amazing space, and I did get an opportunity to have a quick peek earlier in, or late last week, I should say. It does feel like a true slice of Melbourne in the heart of KL. I'd like to say a very big thank you to the Victorian Government team who made this happen. Of course, Rebecca Hall, our Victorian Commissioner, and her team in Southeast Asia, and of course our team back in Melbourne. It has been a truly group effort in terms of bringing this to life. As many of you would know, Global Victoria is the government's trade facilitation agency, and we open the world to Victorian businesses, and we welcome the business world and of course our international students to Victoria. Victoria is very fortunate to have a strong relationship with Malaysia, supported by lots of personal, cultural and business connections. And international students are, of course, a very valued part of Victoria's education system and our communities. These students bring fresh ideas and talent to Victoria and broaden our understanding of the world. Over the past 2 years, the impact of COVID has seen the international education sector enter a period of transition. There are around 226,000 international students enrolled with Victorian education providers in 2020, and around 9,500 of these students were from Malaysia. The majority of these students were living and studying in Victoria, but many were also enrolled and studying online in their home countries due to travel restrictions. And of course, COVID-19 has had an impact around the world, and we've seen this across many students and their families. But all of this is changing, and we are very excited to see the borders opening and finally being able to start to bring students back by the end of this year. I would reflect that despite all the challenges, it has also been a time of opportunity in education, including flexible education delivery, new partnerships, and new ways of connecting. The Victorian Government, through Study Melbourne, has been at the forefront of change in each of these areas and has significantly enhanced supports and programs to international students. This includes our Study Melbourne Centre in Melbourne with access to practical assistance and free legal advice. Of course, Victoria's $45 million financial assistance program that supported over 33,000 students that were impacted by COVID in Victoria, and around $5 million in food aid, including a free supermarket just for our international students in the heart of Melbourne. The Victorian Government has also put in place programs to help empower international students to develop the know-how, networks and leadership skills to make the most of their Victorian education, gain employment and start a business. Now, these have been also running virtually for international students studying offshore, with several tailored programs for our Malaysian students, such as the Leadership Labs in Malaysia, which is a peer mentoring program for about 200 students. And today, I'm very pleased to also announce that 15 students in Malaysia are receiving Study Melbourne Career Catalyst scholarships worth around $5,000. These students will participate in a jobs-ready training program before undertaking a supported 3-month virtual internship program with a Victorian business. And I know a number of the awardees are in attendance here today or online, and my sincere congratulations to all of you. I'm sure this is a great opportunity to help kickstart your amazing careers and your global career in Victoria. So returning to the Study Hub, Victoria is the only the state or territory in Australia and indeed the world to invest in study hubs offshore. The study hubs help students studying online engage with Victorian alumni, create a pathway to study in Victoria, and the study hubs also provide a great space for our education providers and edtech companies to hold meetings, workshops and networking events. These are just some of the tangible experiences and examples of how each and every international student is important to Victoria. Whether you are here in Victoria studying or in Malaysia through one of our education providers, we value our international students and the significant contribution you all make to our academic endeavours, our culture, our community and our society. So I hope you enjoy today's launch and take the time to explore the Study Hub. I certainly hope as borders open, I do get a chance to get there soon. And to all of the students, I hope you feel inspired to take advantage of everything on offer through the Study Hub. And hopefully one day very soon, you can come and visit us here back in Melbourne and in Victoria. Thank you again so much. It has been my absolute pleasure to join you this morning or this afternoon. Thank you so much, Darren. Back over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Best, for the remarkable opening speech. It's fantastic to hear about the significant number of initiatives taken by Global Victoria to take care of the well-being of our fellow Malaysian students during these unprecedented times, and I hope to see you at the Hub one in the near future. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Hannah Birdsey, Australia's Deputy Head of Mission to Malaysia, to say a few words. Ms. Birdsey, the floor is yours.
Get that right. Good morning, everyone. YB Senator Wan Ahmad Faisal, Deputy Minister, Ms. Gunul Surbest, Rebecca Hall, and all distinguished guests here today, and of course, importantly, the students who have joined us here today. Good morning. I'm really delighted to be able to join you today for the opening of this Study Melbourne Hub, Kuala Lumpur. Every time I hear the words Study Melbourne, I think, that sounds very inviting. I would like to be doing that myself. The Hub is part of the Victorian Government's International Education Initiative to establish 5 physical hubs to support Malaysian students, current, future, and the alumni of Victorian education providers. I would like to contextualise this event in Australia's broader relationship with Malaysia, because Australia and Malaysia's education history is long and prosperous. Physical investments like this study hub reflect the strength of the bilateral education relationship and our continued commitment to deepen those ties. And in fact, Australian universities have had a physical presence in Malaysia since 1998. Today, a total of 4 Australian universities have opened their campus doors, either on the Malaysian Peninsula or in East Malaysia, including Monash University, Swinburne, Curtin, and most recently, the University of Wollongong, in a joint venture with KDU Malaysia. But of course, many more Australian education providers have partnership and pathway arrangements with Malaysian education institutions, including at Australian high school level, or Australian matriculation, as I think it's commonly known here in Malaysia. Importantly, our education relationship has also fostered very deep people-to-people links, traced back to the original Colombo Plan of the 1950s. Many Malaysian political, business, civil society and academic leaders have experienced an Australian education, and they maintain strong personal connections today. I'm sure that this hub will be a valuable place for current and prospective students to connect with each other, as well as to study and to access support and information about the benefits of studying with a Victorian education provider. In fact, since 2002, over 125,000 Malaysian students have studied in Australia. And Malaysia is also growing in popularity as a study destination, with over 3,000 Australian students undertaking study experiences and internships in Malaysia under the new Colombo Plan since 2015. These alumni are valuable assets for both countries, encouraging genuine engagement between Australia and Malaysia in deepening our academic, economic, institutional and cultural connections. And of course, the relationship between Australia and Malaysia encompasses much more than our strong educational ties. In fact, in January of this year, our respective Prime Ministers elevated the Australia-Malaysia relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. This partnership reaffirmed Australia and Malaysia's commitment to further strengthen our bilateral ties across 3 pillars, including economic prosperity, defence and regional security, and society and technology. And I think as both countries look to recover from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, these areas of collaboration are more important than ever. The CSP also does include a commitment to deepen our collaboration, particularly in education policy and research, under 2 MOUs between Australia's Department of Education, Skills and Employment and the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Higher Education, respectively. And I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge my colleague here today, Fiona Morris, Australia's Education and Science Counsellor to Malaysia, who's been leading this work. And just a recent example of what I'm talking about when I talk about education policy engagement was a bilateral webinar series that was held between Australia and Malaysia, looking at education and research in the COVID-19 era. And we look forward to more collaborations of that nature. Before I conclude, I would also just like to acknowledge the announcement made yesterday by Prime Minister Scott Morrison that from 1 December, fully vaccinated international students will be able to travel back to Australia. This is an important step in Australia's step-by-step and safe reopening as a result of the success that Australia and Australians have achieved with the rollout of COVID-19 vaccinations and in implementing our National Transition Plan. I would briefly note that, of course, there are some requirements that students will need to meet in terms of being fully vaccinated, holding a valid student visa, and so on. But finally, I would just like to congratulate the team at Global Victoria, and I look forward to hearing more about the various programs and activities that will be provided by the Melbourne Study Hub to connect current and future students and alumni of Victorian education providers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Birdsey, for that heartwarming speech. I'm sure a lot of students are looking forward to heading back to Australia. I'm also very confident that the establishment of the Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur will continue to encourage our Malaysian students to choose Australia as their top study destination and make Melbourne as part of their story. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Yang Berhormat Senator Wan Ahmad Faisal bin Wan Ahmad Kamal, Malaysia's Deputy Minister for National Unity, to address us. Honourable guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Yang Berhormat Senator. Dipersilakan.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, Ms. Hannah Birdsey, Deputy High Commissioner of Australia to Malaysia, Ms. Gonul Serbes, Chief Executive Officer of Global Victoria, Ms. Rebecca Hall, Victoria's Commissioner to Southeast Asia, Ms. Casey Tam, Education Services Director. On guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. It is an honor for me to be invited to share a little bit of my perspective on, I think, what an amazing innovation called Study Melbourne Hub in Kuala Lumpur, right smack in the center of, actually here in Petaling Jaya, just across our most prestigious university, University of Malaya, where there are so many young people living and studying around here. So having a Study Melbourne Hub situated at the center of this city would be very encouraging to promote not only Australia, but also Malaysian education ideas and ideals to those who participate in this Study Melbourne Hub. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia's long-standing relationship with Australia dates back to the Colombo Plan in 1950. As a student of geopolitics, I am reminded of the valuable support that Australia provided during the 1960s Indonesia-Malaysia competition, which was invaluable for the survival of a young nation during a turbulent period in the world's history. More than 20,000 talented young students from around the region had the opportunity to study in Australia and specifically Victoria from the 1950s to the mid-1980s. Many of these students went on to become leaders in their respective fields and countries. I have the honor of counting a number of illustrious alumni of the University of Melbourne as friends and colleagues. The most renowned today might be the Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Economic Affairs, the Honourable Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad, one of the most senior ministers around. I have also a former colleague by the name Dr. Adli Musa, a lecturer in Islamic Studies at IIUM, who graduated with an engineering degree from University College London and later ended up getting a PhD in Islamic Studies from Melbourne. And if you count Melbourne, but on broader perspective from Australian universities, we have the present Minister of Education, Dr. Razi Jidin, also from, who used to teach there in Hobart, in Tasmania, and a number of young future leaders from across political parties, Senator Liu Chin-tong, former Senator Liu Chin-tong, my colleague, and also the former Principal Secretary to the then Prime Minister, Dr. Marzuki, also studied in Australia. So we have many illustrious leaders of Malaysia used to study and live in Australia and learning much from the culture there. It is partly due to the urging from these friends that I'm here today to celebrate yet another achievement of their respective alma mater that they are so proud of. From engineering to medicine, from arts to commerce, Melbourne continues to produce the finest graduates who excel in every field they venture into. Today's event is yet another testament of Melbourne's education institutions' commitment to excellence and Victorian government's continued support for it. Well, as an avid cyclist, I'm very aware Melbourne also a city for cyclists, where you produce amazing apparels and technology for cyclists, and I'm proud to be part or to be associated with this culture. Since Monash University set up Malaysia's first foreign university branch campus here in 1998, Malaysia has set its sight on becoming the region's global education destination of choice. Since then, Malaysia has welcomed no less than 10 other universities and a few international schools, with a number of them being set up in EduCity, Iskandar, Malaysia, Johor. Today, allow me to warmly welcome Melbourne and the state of Victoria as a whole to the club. Congratulations. Of course, that is where the huge difference lies. Whilst universities and schools open a campus of their own, and while MIT Sloan chooses to partner with the Central Bank of Malaysia to set up the Asia School of Business, the Victorian government chooses to adopt a significantly different model by setting up a universal hub, if I may, that connects various education institutions with other parties in quite a novel way. Having already established a trade and investment office in Malaysia since 2009, today's launching of Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur is not only a proof of the Victorian government's continued confidence in Malaysia as an important market, as well as the cognizance that transitioning into a post-pandemic world requires brave leadership and radical innovation, especially in education. In my conversation with Ms. Hannah just now, I think we have not seen the same innovation coming from other states like UK or even US, here in Malaysia at least. So it's truly an innovative approach to reimagine our education post-COVID-19. Having recently been an international student myself, circa 2018, I am confident that your students will appreciate the enhanced remote learning experience that this hub provides, as well as keeping the connection with Melbourne and Victoria alive among students and alumni alike. As Victoria is again welcoming international students back home, I have no doubt that the Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur will continue to be an important feature in showcasing Victoria's high-quality education to prospective students as well as their teachers and parents. As a former academic, academia holds a special place in my heart. The establishment of this hub is not only an avenue for more education exchanges between students, academics, and researchers, but also as a catalyst for deeper cross-disciplinary collaborations that cover culture, commerce, industry, among others. The establishment of this and similar hubs all over the world is a laudable effort in introducing innovation in the way we deliver education and education solutions. At the same time, it is in line with Malaysia's effort to place itself as the region's education destination of choice, as well as to improve Malaysia's own interconnectivity with the rest of the world's education system. I strongly believe that education is a means for a person to explore his or her full potential, for a civilization to prosper, and for our intellect to shape humankind's true destiny. And international education experience only enriches the process and augments the outcome. On this, I congratulate the Victorian government for taking this momentous and bold step. I thank you again for your gracious invitation and honor to witness history in the making. Of course, it would be my pleasure to explore ways that we can work together to make a success out of this venture. Once more, congratulations. With that, I would like to extend my utmost appreciation to all guests, especially to Study Melbourne Hub, Kuala Lumpur, for inviting me, and hopefully more collaboration between the two government and even among the private sector players in this education sector prosper between Malaysia and Australia. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Berhormat Senator, for the enlightening speech. Yang Berhormat Senator, if I could kindly request you remain on stage for the next segment of the program. I would also like to invite Ms. Hannah Birdsey, Australia's Deputy Head of Mission to Malaysia, and Ms. Cassandra Tam, Education Services Director for the Victorian Government Trade and Investment Office, to witness Yang Berhormat Senator unveil the Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur's feature wall. Yang Berhormat Senator, if you could kindly press the launch button on my cue in 3, 2, 1. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Minister has now triggered the countdown for the launch in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur is now officially launched. What a fantastic day to be part of something remarkable. I'm sure this marks the beginning of something great for all current, future, and alumni as well. Honorable guests, if I could kindly ask you to remain on stage for a photo session. Senator, Ms. Birdsey and Ms. Cassandra, you may now return to your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next segment, just a quick show of hands. Who here has studied in Victoria before? Oh, a couple of you. Wonderful. Well, thankfully, I am blessed to be the first generation in my family to attend university overseas. You cannot imagine how much bragging my parents were doing, especially during Chinese New Year when all the uncles and aunties were back for reunion dinner. And who knows, probably one day, I'll also be extremely proud for my children to be studying in Victoria too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is now my pleasure to welcome Miss Rebecca Hall, Victoria's Commissioner to Southeast Asia, to introduce the Study Melbourne's intergenerational alumni video. Over to you, Miss Hall.
Good afternoon, Darren. Thank you for being a wonderful MC for us today. To Yang Berhormat Senator Wan Ahmad Faisal Wan Ahmad Kamal, Malaysia's Deputy Minister for National Unity, thank you so much, and thank you for welcoming us to the club. To Ms. Hannah Birdsey, Australia's Deputy Head of Mission to Malaysia. Dr. Mohammed bin Salman, Deputy Director General Development with Department of Skills Development Malaysia. And of course, my good colleague and friend Ganu Savest, our CEO of Global Victoria. It's absolutely wonderful to see us coming together today in this hybrid event with so many of you present there in KL and many friends and supporters around the world, and particularly those of you who are dialing in from Melbourne. I'm coming to you today from Singapore, where there's quite a storm behind me, so I'm going to keep my remarks very, very short. I think a theme that I've been hearing and seeing, and certainly part of our investment, is the importance of our alumni. Not just to be telling wonderful stories, but the actual opportunity of what studying abroad, and particularly studying in Melbourne, means not just for individuals, but for families, for community, for business and industry. So it's my absolute delight to be able to introduce a short film, a short story video showcasing the stories of intergenerational alumni experience. We know, and many of you in the room know, that Melbourne offers world-class education and training to students from all over the world. But the history of our relationship with Malaysia in particular, and the opportunity that we've seen for so many to come and experience Melbourne, or Victoria, but also to study in Malaysia, is an absolute story that we want to share and that we want to celebrate. The initial idea for what you're about to see came from hearing regularly from parents who had actually studied in Victoria many years before. I can see some of you there in the audience, and also then encouraging their family, friends and own children to also take that experience. Particularly during the last 12 months, we really wanted to be able to showcase the reflections of what it's like to study in Victoria, and not just immediately, new graduates like Darren who are back and already actively contributing, but also those who have been with us a couple of years before. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce some candid conversations capturing key moments and experiences of parents and students whilst they were living in Victoria. And we're really going to touch on some of the key topics that we hear is so important to studying abroad around independence, identity and individualism. So I really hope you enjoy the video and the stories as much as I did. And back to you, Darren, to play the video.
Do you have to go on a date later on with them?
It's up to you if you want to.
Did you?
I did with one or two, but like, yeah, you know, I'm not gonna talk about that.
Hi. Good to see you, Suraya, Tisha.
Hi, my name is Ashley. This is my father.
And this is my daughter. Hi, I'm Jeffrey, obviously a big supporter and a big believer in Australian education.
You can call us the Australian family because pretty much, 4 out of 5 of us will already have a degree or getting a degree from Melbourne.
My name is Atisha and I went to Victoria University.
I'm Suraya, Atisha's mom.
We're going to play a game called Never Have I Ever.
Never have I ever.
When I first joined in O Week, orientation week, there was this thing where it's like a blind date thing where you sit in the chair for 1 minute and you talk to someone you don't know, not necessarily a romantic date, but you know, to get to know someone, and every 1 minute you move on to the next chair.
I just find it awkward to meet someone online, especially a stranger that you don't know.
Never.
Yeah. Many times.
Yeah, especially when I first got there, I've been on the train or bus to class for a lot of times, so it's normal there in Melbourne. 2 weeks, then you kind of get used to it. Of course, but not in Melbourne, because in Melbourne they're very interactive, so they will ask you questions. I did.
She did.
Yeah.
It was her wish.
Prior to going to Melbourne, I did like research and all, and I felt like, it seems like a really fun city. There's like cafes, music.
I love the casual vibe of Melbourne. I don't know what it is, you know, it's so cosmopolitan. I mean, everyone knows that it's easy to get all kinds of food, etc. Love the beautiful parks in Melbourne. I just love walking in Melbourne generally, right?
For me, the experience was Luna Park and Formula One because that's when Formula One first started the races in Albert Park.
The cafe culture over there is something I really like. I think when I was there, I spent most of my days like exploring cafes. There's too many cafes.
I was never really a coffee person, but when I went there, I needed a coffee at least once a day.
Melbourne is very easy because I prefer to sit down at cafes, drink coffee. You know, so you bring me to a nice cafe because Melbourne's coffee is the best.
Melbourne is such a melting pot of cultures, right? And I think when you live in that kind of environment, day in, day out, without realizing it, it just makes you more open-minded. It makes you more accepting of diversity, different opinions, different thoughts.
There's a lot of culture from all over the world. It's not a distinctive culture, but it's very broad. Like every single place you go, there's a little nook in Melbourne where there's a Greek culture, there's a Italian culture.
Yeah, I chose Melbourne because when I enrolled into the Victoria University program, like I like the syllabus that they were teaching and the pace that they were going. The style of their teaching and the subjects that they offer there is the subjects that you can't get here, you know?
When I joined Melbourne, I was doing mechanical engineering. And in second year, I think I joined a few clubs and societies, the Melbourne University Computing Club and the Security Club. And that's where I learned a lot about coding, the world of programming, and it really interested me. And I decided to make that leap into software engineering or software and computing systems in second year.
Over there, they kind of exposed me to like creating my own events and all. It's part of the assignment, but it's very fun because you get to connect with the locals and stuff.
The lecturer, they always say the lecturer is
they're very helpful. So here, like sometimes I'm like, okay lah, it's okay, I want to skip class. But while I was there, I didn't skip any class because it was fun and I didn't want to miss out on anything.
I'm personally not very interested in, how many papers did you take in a semester? I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in experience. Actually, it's a very small fraction, the uni experience. Yeah, that's the main reason why you're there, but it's really so much more than that.
When I was in Melbourne, I realized I actually had a lot of time on my hands to build myself up, to explore new things. I have gone out a lot with my friends, went camping. You know, those are the kind of things I enjoy doing, going places like the Great Ocean Road, sightseeing with my friends.
I've heard many people saying that Australians are too laid back. They're too relaxed.
Not at all.
They're chill, they're laid back. But again, like you said, they work hard and they play hard because they know I've worked hard, I deserve to play hard as well. And I think that is what adds to the quality of their lifestyle. Melbourne has been one of the world's most livable cities. It's precisely because of that. The very important thing that we need to learn and we can take home.
I have always been an achiever, you see. So right through primary school, secondary school, it's never been anything less than straight A's. In hindsight, if I could actually look at things, when I reached Melbourne, I realized there was more to life. There was more things to discover.
I love that Melbourne is everyone's there very friendly and like you feel very welcome once you're there. Like be it in like university or like at retail shops, cafes and all, you feel very like you're welcome. Like you're an outsider or anything. So that's what I love about Melbourne, that I wouldn't mind like living there or going back there over and over again. Yeah.
Melbourne's the place where I actually started joining a lot of clubs and societies. And those clubs and societies were actually where I made most of my friends. And those kind of friendships that you make at these clubs and societies, they're ones that last a lot longer in my opinion, because you sort of build a bond with people. You appreciate like yourself and the people around you, and you identify like how best you can work with other people.
Did you cry when you were there?
I mean, at the airport, yeah. After a while, I started really loving staying in Melbourne and made a lot of new friends there. It was really enjoyable.
As parents, our role is to give you roots, right? Two things, roots and wings. Roots to remember where you came from, and wings to fly wherever you need to fly.
How have you seen me grow?
The extra dimension that I've seen is you as a leader. Leader not in the sense of being a boss or whatever, but a leader of your own life, a leader of your own independence, a leader of your own career, right? I just sense, that empowerment within you.
Yeah, I think it really sets you up, don't you think? Yeah, I think it sets you up on a different level, to be fair, as a fresh graduate.
Before Melbourne, she cannot do anything on her own.
Yeah, that's true.
Tak boleh. Everything mommy. And when she comes back, she's like independent. She can do things on her own. And she can make up her mind. She can decide.
Before this, I was a very introverted person. I was very shy. The fact that my parents encouraged me to throw myself out there, I started becoming a debater and I was a public speaker, joined a few clubs and societies there.
Studying in Melbourne is, in one word, it's fun. Like you get to meet people from different countries, you get to work with them during assignments and discussions, you get to meet lecturers from all over the places. Every day in Melbourne is like an adventure for me.
As a student, I think I lived a very full life in Melbourne. Thank you. And thank God for that. It was a very full life because I went to such a world-class university. Monash is great. with the whole green campus and everything like that. I had a part-time job. I did volunteering. I joined the sports community in Monash as well. Melbourne really gives you a very full perspective of what you can make of life. It's what you make of it.
I really love the student accommodation in Monash. As a parent, it was very comforting knowing that you would be in that kind of environment, you know, and remember we spoke about the fact that even what your residential hall would have get-togethers every weekend.
Suppers.
Yeah, so, you know, we didn't have to worry as much that you didn't have a social connection. Given a second chance, would you pick Melbourne again?
Yes, I would. In a heartbeat, I would pick Melbourne again.
Of course.
Definitely, 100%.
Yes, that's what she kept on saying.
Melbourne's a really nice place to be at. It's really nice to, the student life there was great. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yep, Melbourne, number one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there was undoubtedly an entertaining and enlightening video. I don't think I'll ever recall sharing my dating life in Melbourne with my parents, probably never, but one thing's for sure, I'm thankful to them for giving me the opportunity to study overseas. And if one day my children are up for studying in Victoria, I am definitely sending them there. Now, fun fact, we are glad to be joined by one of the parents featured in the alumni video, Mr. Jeffrey Song. Mr. Jeffrey, we look forward to having another round of interview with you and your grandchildren in the future. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before the launch event draws to a close, we are grateful for the time Young Berhormat Senator Wan Ahmad Faisal has taken to join us today. I would now like to invite Ms. Cassandra Tam, Education Services Director for the Victorian Government Trade and Investment Office, to present a token of appreciation to Young Berhormat Senator. May I invite Young Berhormat Senator Wan Ahmad Faisal bin Wan Ahmad Kamal, Malaysia's Deputy Minister for National Unity, to receive a token of appreciation. Thank you, Young Berhormat Senator. Next, could I also invite Ms. Hannah Birdsey, Australia's Deputy Head of Mission to Malaysia, to receive a token of appreciation. Thank you, Ms. Birdsey. Once again, could I invite Young Berhormat Senator and Ms. Birdsey up on stage for a photo session. Ms. Birdsey, Ms. Cassandra, you may now return to your seats. Thank you. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of our official launch. Before we close, please allow me to share a paragraph of a traditional Malay poetry. Berakhir sudah majelis kita, moga bersua tahun hadapan. Andai ada tersasul kata, salah silap mohon dimaafkan. When translated, I sincerely apologize if there was any slip of the tongue, and I hope to see you again soon. A very big thank you to all guests present here and virtually. We hope you have enjoyed the launch of Study Melbourne Hub Kuala Lumpur. There are ready-to-go refreshments packed for you outside. They are a delectable snack pack that features Victorians' finest produce. And if you've not got your morning dose of coffee, you're in for a treat. I'm happy to let you know that we are serving Melbourne coffee with your refreshments. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us today and have a great day ahead.